Happy Friday, Boston Celtics fans. I know a lot of us are probably getting over the unfortunate loss against the Chicago Bulls yesterday, but hey, sometimes you're just not hot from downtown. Sometimes you're not hot on offense and your opponent is, and that's just kind of what happened as the Boston Celtics did fall to the Chicago Bulls. But on today's show, I want to answer your questions. Thank you to all that participated in our community post. I asked, do you have any questions about the Boston Celtics? Drop them down below, and a couple of you guys did answer, so I wanted to break that down here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in on YouTube, but you also can find me on several different platforms on social media, so go on ahead, help me out, give me a follow on X, at AR Barefoot. I do tweet live in-game thoughts. I tweet out the links to all of our live streams, and sometimes I tweet out the latest breaking news before I can hop on YouTube and make a video about it. And then, of course, on TikTok, I post Boston Celtics memes. I post Patriots memes, as well as I do cover the Patriots channel here. So if you guys want to help me out, go on ahead, do me a solid, follow me on social medias, and that way we can talk Boston Celtics basketball all the time. Let's jump into your questions, shall we? Starting off with a real one, Cobra Kai World. Do you think the Celtics matchup against the Magic in the playoffs, and how many games would it last? I could absolutely see us playing the Magic in the playoffs, maybe even the second round or the third round. But the Orlando Magic being fourth right now in the Eastern Conference, I mean, they're really proving to be a threat in that top five of the Eastern seed. With the Boston Celtics, we are going to get our first taste of the Orlando Magic on Monday night, which I will be live for, so I'm very intrigued to see how we're going to match up offensively with that squad. They've always kind of given us tough time. We did lose the Orlando Magic last year, so we're going to have to wait and see what Boston can do and how they're going to bounce back, because they played the Bulls last night, they lost. They'll play Chicago again on Saturday, and then they take on the Magic on Monday, so it will be a very interesting game. I'm not going to comment on how many games it would last, because it all just depends on how healthy the Celtics team is, and we really haven't seen the full strength of the Orlando Magic just yet going up against Boston, so I'd have to wait just a moment to see what that playoff scenario would look like. But if it's in the playoffs and it's later in the first round, I would say that it's definitely worth it. And I'm sorry if you can hear screaming around me. Marshall Green is in the studio next to me, and you guys know how those streams go. Next question coming in here, J-Boy Vibe saying, do you think Tatum has what it takes to win MVP? Absolutely. I think he has more than enough than what it takes to win MVP. There was always that conversation of whether or not Jayson Tatum could separate himself from the other offensive weapons that Boston has. Because normally when you look at the MVP like a Nikola Jokic, and he obviously is one of the greatest basketball players playing right now, but Jokic is the Denver Nuggets. And yes, Tatum is the Boston Celtics, but so is Brown. So is Kristaps Porzingis. So is Derek White. Heck, Payton Pritchard's making a run for that title as well. So there have been a few instances where I have been like, all right, maybe Tatum will never have enough of the ball to be able to separate himself, but I think he's done just that this season. I mean, the guy is averaging pretty much a double-double a game. If not, it's close to it. He's put up several 30-plus point games. He's helped Boston come back from deficits. He's really cleaned the glass more than I've ever seen him before, and he's just truly becoming a facilitator. He always has been. But now, I've noticed this year specifically, when Tatum's not in, it does start to feel a little bit more chaotic than it has in years past. But thank you so much for that question, J-Boy Vibes. Coming up next, let's talk about Tila. Bella saying, are you concerned about KP's injury and how the Celtics will do without KP? I'm not concerned with how the Celtics will do without KP, because we've already seen that. We've already played the entire NBA playoffs without Kristaps Porzingis. He did leave in the first half of the NBA first series and then came back in the finals for a couple of games, but we have adapted to playing without Porzingis. Even in the regular season, he doesn't normally play back-to-back games. Am I concerned about KP's injury? Yes. I'll always be concerned about an injury because, number one, I don't want them to play while they're hurt. And number two, I don't want them to potentially injure themselves for a long period of time. We have thankfully, other than what happened to Porzingis over the offseason, he's only been out for a rolled ankle, a heel injury, a calf strain. So we haven't, thankfully, had a season-ending injury yet for this Boston Celtics team. So I am a little bit nervous that the Boston Celtics will run into what they did last year and play the entire playoff series without Porzingis. You don't want that to happen because he is just so influential on Boston, being the 7'3" center that he is. So I think if Brad Stevens has a snow globe and, goes back and looks at what the Celtics had to go through in the playoffs, I would hope that he would make some kind of move in the offseason, before the NBA trade deadline, to possibly add a little bit more depth, like injury insurance at that center position. But, I'm not I'm not Brad Stevens. He's a lot better coach than I am and GM. So I don't know if they should end up picking up somebody at the NBA trade deadline or not at that center position. But I'll ask you guys that. Who should Boston trade for at the deadline? Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts. Put them in the comment section. And before I hop into your other question here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports, I do want to go on ahead and tell you guys about our sponsor on today's show, and we are talking about Prize Picks. This is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America. I play Prize Picks every single game day, and you guys should too. Not to mention, it is available in over 30 different states, including Cali, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. And right now, they are giving you up to $30 million in rewards during Picksmas, and they're also giving away 2 free picks during the December holiday. And you guys should go on ahead and take advantage of those while they do last. Not to mention, right now, they are accepting MasterCard as well. And you guys can go on ahead and get started making your picks for football, basketball, hockey, or college or professional sports. And you can also win up to 1,000 times your money by just picking more or less on at least 2 to 6 players projected stats. If you guys want to go on ahead and get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, all you guys have to do is just download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. That'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. That'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Ron coming in here with what do you think about a possibility of a Springer for Filipowski trade? Kyle Filipowski, obviously the NBA rookie that did just come in this last draft. Filipowski playing right now for the Utah Jazz. Obviously, I would love this. Why? Because Filipowski makes $3 million a year and Springer makes $4 million, so that trade would be able to work for Boston. But the Utah Jazz, although they are struggling, they're not going to give up Filipowski. It's just not enough of a bargain. You would maybe have to attach a draft pick with that because you cannot combine players in this trade because the Boston Celtics are well over the tax apron line. And there's CBA and there's a bunch of technical stuff that I try not to get too far into. But the Utah Jazz, Filipowski's putting up, like 7 points a game right now for them. Obviously, he's a rotation player for them. If Utah has any chance of making a stride, I would rather go with Filipowski than Springer right now, knowing they're not that far away in age difference either. So, obviously, I'd be all for it, but I don't think the Utah Jazz will in trades. Well, they take 2 to tango. Fortune 5, what a season Pritchard has had so far. Truly a career-defining season. What are your thoughts on Payton Pritchard this season? I absolutely love him. I absolutely love Pritchard's ball game. He's one of those players that if he wasn't on the Boston Celtics, I would despise him. I would despise playing against Payton Pritchard. He's so tenacious. He is so aggressive. He's like a little gnat at the picnic. He's always around. He's always moving. He never stops. He's like a shark. He has to stop. He has to keep moving, or else he'll die. I love watching Pritchard, man. I think that he is not only putting a name out there for himself, and if he ever does leave Boston, but he's also showing Boston that they have an incredible deal on him. They secured him when they did, and one thing that I've loved about Pritchard is how he continues to elevate his game. I even saw this in the Bulls game last night, is that Pritchard, while he is a very good three-point shooter, he has been establishing in the league that he can also drive. He's a 3-level scorer. Does he showcase it a lot? No. But he knows how to go up against Ayo Dosunmu, and he knows how to drive into the post. He knows how to do the hesitation, put the pump fake up, put it high off the glass, draw a foul, do a reverse layup. He is very good around the rim. Does he make those shots all the time? No, because he doesn't need to drive all the way down there. And I have noticed defenses are really starting to pick up their pace playing Boston because they know know that they're going to be looking for Pritchard for a 3-ball when they're in, because that's just how Missoula ball works. The defenses have been working 10 times just to try to cover Brown, Tatum, Holiday, White, and Pritchard. And one thing I've also noticed, speaking of Holiday, is that Pritchard may not be a starter, but he is in the closing lineup, especially against the Chicago Bulls. They were losing to the Bulls. It was Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, and Payton Pritchard. Joe Mazzulla is starting to really trust Pritchard's defense to keep them out of the ball game, but also on the offensive side to help them get back in the ball game. So I think that's a big nod to Pritchard, and if he doesn't win unanimous Sixth Man of the Year, then something's going on, because that man is dominating those standings right now. Should Pritchard be a starter on the Boston Celtics? I'm going to go with N for no here. I think his role is perfectly defined coming off the bench. But I do like him in the closing lineup, so I will say that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, I am available on other social media platforms. Follow me on X. Follow me on TikTok. I promise you will not regret it. Going ahead, let's talk Boston Celtics basketball all day long.